Alexis Sánchez then leads Chile into the final of the Confederations Cup. Let's remind you that he is still an Arsenal player. However, reports in the UK media over the last 24 hours suggesting that Manchester City are very confident of getting him over the summer. John, where do you stand on Alexis Sánchez and his future?
Not at Arsenal. That's where I stand on it. I think it's a shame because he's done ever so well for them, and I think they've been good for him in a way over this 3-year period of his career. But it's quite interesting. I was with Lee Dixon last week, who knows knows
Craig Burley.
Drop another name.
All right, OK. I'll contribute nothing more. But
all right, are you going to make it?
No, he said that the people that he still knows at Arsenal say that he's a difficult character in the dressing room, and that he has been increasingly morose over the last season, and that he's become quite difficult to control. Not a good influence on the training pitch either. So I think it's a natural parting of the ways, bearing in mind the season that Arsenal have just had.
But if you're Arsenal, wouldn't you prefer him to go to Bayern Munich, for example, than Manchester City?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Can you not make that happen?
Look, Arsenal don't have to sell the player. And the player doesn't have to move where he doesn't want to go. It really is a cat and mouse game now. But as bad an influence as he allegedly is, he has done a great job for Arsenal. And I think part of that will be down to the fact that his frustrations have grown.
Sure.
By the fact that Wenger stumbled across this new contract and wouldn't tell anybody, that new signings never arrived to really take Arsenal to the next level. And I think for a player like him, who is a top-level player, eventually that gets to you.
We've all been around players whose attitude on the training field or maybe inside the locker room was less than stellar. And we don't know that about Alexis
That happens
Sanchez.
to people after their careers as well.
Yes, I know. And yet, because those guys produce on the field, you learn on how to deal with these players and say, hey, I don't care what he does in here in the locker room. I don't care what he does in the training field. If this guy's going to score a goal that is going to help us win a game, that's who I want on the field. I don't want the goody-goody guy who's not going to score. I want the other guy who's going to help us win. That's the way it works. If Alexis Sánchez, I don't care how badly behaved he is, if he is badly behaved, Arsenal needs Alexis Sánchez. Simple.
And by the way, if we're talking about attitude, then I tell you what, you look at the way he played the game, his attitude was never in question on the park. So if his attitude was bad in training, it certainly wasn't reflected in his performance.
Maybe that's why the rest of them were bad. Listen, if Arsenal sell him to City, all that tells you is how desperate they are to get rid of this guy. Because they can easily ship him to somewhere else cheaper. They don't have to sell him to City. No. But if there's not really any more other takers and he goes to City, then you know this guy is a complete and utter nightmare.
So you get it, Stevie?
Absolutely get it, yeah. We've all played with guys that are a pain, and you figure out a way, as Ali said. But there comes a time when it affects the other 10, and we're all sitting here agreeing that he's been good on the field. He's been the guy that's actually taken the games by the scruff of the neck and tried to do everything. Yes. But maybe the reason the other 10 are struggling is because they just can't stand the sight of this
Stevie,
guy.
Mesut Ozil doesn't wander around the pitch in some sort of dream world because...
I've played in teams where people won't pass the ball to another guy because they dislike them that much. So don't give me that face.
No, it's not a face. You know, of course.
It is, you just gave me it.
No, of course you know better than me. But
he's always got that face. You can't help it.
Are we really saying that Mesut Ozil has played like he has because of Alexis Sanchez's attitude?
No, I'm not picking any one individual out. But he could have had such a bad influence on the team that it's affecting everybody else.
We don't know that. We don't know that for sure.
Mesut Ozil, for example, right? You know he has to have a real good, strong mentality and a strong attitude, right? And he's a confident guy. You've maybe got 3 or 4 guys on that Arsenal team that are not quite as strong mentally and can't handle stuff that maybe is going on. That's just the way it is sometimes.
But we don't know that for sure. This is all allegations. And
Correct.
This is all
it's all Lee Dixon.
Well, this is what John brought to the table. It's John's fault.
My fault. But the confirmation will be if they actually let him go to City.
And I think the other thing to consider is that Arsenal have a track record of selling to rivals in England, whereas other big clubs won't do business with specific rivals. Arsenal do.
Let's not kid ourselves here that if Alexis Sánchez said to Arsenal, oh, by the way, I'll accept the same terms I'm on now, that they would say no. I mean, problematic or not, they're not in the position just to let top players go because they're having enough trouble trying to get top players to come, right? So let's not kid ourselves that if he's on 100,000 a week, say, and they offered him, he said, I'll take 110, they wouldn't do it. But it's not. It's the fact there's a big disparity between what these players are looking for, and Arsenal are not willing to pay it.